You're sitting at the table, and when you talk, they look away. You tell a joke, and nobody laughs. The room seems allergic to your voice. Women, friends, co-workers, they don't listen. And even if they do, you feel like they're doing it out of politeness. Every man has been there. The worst part? It doesn't feel fair. You're trying to be the good guy. You're polite, you're reasonable, you don't interrupt. But here's the cold truth. The world doesn't respect what's polite. The world respects power. Not arrogance, not violence, but presence. And that's what today is about. You've been living under a false belief system that told you respect is earned through words and deeds alone. No, respect is claimed by those who command attention without begging for it. Today, you'll learn how to stop being the background noise and become the voice that dominates any room. If you're tired of being ignored, comment, "I command respect" right now, and stay with me till the end, because everything changes today. Number 1. The power stance. Most men have been lied to their entire lives about how to carry themselves. You've been taught to shrink, to step aside, to take up as little space as possible. Society conditions men to not be intimidating, to be considerate, to be the good guy who politely waits for permission to speak and move. It's no wonder so many men today feel invisible, ignored, and powerless. You've been trained to make yourself disappear, and it's killing your presence. Right now, people don't even notice you walk into a room. They don't turn to look. They don't stop their conversations. And you know it hurts because deep down, you crave that attention, not for validation, but for the recognition of your existence. Let me ask you something. Have you ever walked into a room and hoped that nobody would notice you, that you could just blend into the background and avoid confrontation? Maybe it's because you didn't feel enough, not tall enough, not attractive enough, not important enough. And so you shuffle in, with your head slightly lowered, your steps barely making a sound. You think, if I'm quiet, nobody will judge me. But that's the first mistake. Silence and invisibility don't protect you. They bury you. The world doesn't respect the man who hides. It only respects the man who owns his space unapologetically. That's why you need to adopt what I call the warrior's stance. Stand like you're ready for battle, like this is your arena, and everyone in it is playing by your rules. Shoulders back, not stiff, but powerful. Feet shoulder-width apart, firmly planted, like you can't be moved by anyone. Take one step forward as you stand, not too far, just enough to signal that you're not waiting for permission to exist in that room. Your chest slightly out, not in an exaggerated way, but in a way that shows strength without arrogance. Chin level, eyes straight ahead, never down, never at the floor. Why? Because the man who looks down signals submission, and people, whether consciously or not, will treat you like you're beneath them. When you walk, every step should feel intentional. Stop rushing like you're in a hurry to get out of people's way. Men who rush appear anxious, and anxiety is weakness. Slow down. Own the floor beneath you. Imagine that every step you take is a stamp of authority. Women notice this immediately. They're hardwired to detect confidence, and nothing screams, "I'm not confident," louder than a man who's in a hurry to disappear. You've probably seen the type, the man who enters a room so quietly that it's like he's afraid to be seen. Women ignore that man. Everyone ignores that man. But when you enter with that grounded, deliberate step, people instinctively feel your presence. Even without words, you've already commanded their attention. Modern relationships have created a battleground where men are constantly being tested, evaluated, and sometimes discarded if they fail to meet invisible standards of presence and masculinity. Women won't tell you this directly, but they're always scanning for cues: how you carry yourself, how you respond under pressure, whether you project strength or submission. And when your posture is weak, they don't feel safe. They won't consciously think, "He's not standing confidently, so I'm not attracted to him," but they will feel it. Attraction dies when respect dies, and respect dies when you don't own your physical presence. Think about the last time you were on a date and you sensed that she wasn't into you. You thought it was what you said, didn't you? You replayed the conversation, trying to figure out what line you delivered wrong. But often, it's not your words that kill the vibe, it's your energy. If your posture tells her, "I'm nervous and I don't feel comfortable in my own skin," she'll mirror that discomfort. Women want to feel safe around a man who knows who he is, and that starts before you even open your mouth. Men who naturally understand this dominate social spaces without saying a word. Watch how they enter a room. Their steps are slow, controlled, and steady. Their gaze isn't darting around the room, searching for approval. They don't clutch their phones like a life raft. They don't fidget. Why? Because they're not worried about how others perceive them. They've already decided they're worth noticing. And that's the key. Decide that you belong before anyone else can make that decision for you. If you're waiting for the world to validate you, you've already lost. But when you walk in like you're the main character, people respond accordingly. Let me show you what this looks like in action. The next time you're about to enter a room, stop at the door for 2 seconds. Breathe in deeply, shoulders back, chest up. Tell yourself, "I'm here to own this space." Then walk in slowly, deliberately. Don't rush to find a seat. Don't dart to the nearest corner. Walk as if the room was waiting for you to arrive. It's not arrogance, it's presence. When you sit, take up space. Spread your legs naturally, plant your feet firmly on the ground, and relax your arms. Don't hunch over like you're apologizing for taking up room. Own the chair, the table, the conversation. If someone interrupts you, pause, maintain eye contact, and wait for them to finish before you respond. That pause alone signals power. It says, "I'm not afraid to be heard." Men who master this posture and presence are the ones women desire and men respect. Not because they're the loudest or the most charming, but because their energy is magnetic. When you carry yourself with that kind of conviction, people naturally gravitate toward you. And here's the best part. It's not about being born with good looks, height, or money. It's about mastering what you can control: your body, your energy, and your attitude. Women will test you, no doubt about it. They'll test your ability to hold your frame when things get uncomfortable. If you flinch, if you fold, if you start apologizing for who you are, they'll lose respect. But if you remain grounded, if you can hold that silence, maintain eye contact, and respond calmly, you'll pass the test. Respect is given to the man who doesn't waver under pressure. And when a woman respects you, attraction follows. This isn't just about romantic relationships, though. This affects how your boss views you, how your friends treat you, how strangers respond to you. A man who stands confidently is a man who gets doors opened for him, who gets the last word in meetings, who gets listened to even when he's not the loudest voice in the room. You don't have to shout to be heard. You just have to carry yourself like someone worth listening to. Remember this: men who change their posture change their lives. It's not just about standing taller. It's about embodying the message, "I'm here and I don't need your validation." Women crave that energy. Men respect it. The world rewards it. Stand like a warrior, walk like a king, and watch how quickly the world starts treating you differently. Number 2, don't speak first. Men are trained to believe that the one who talks the most wins the respect of the room. That's wrong. The man who talks first is often the man who's ignored the most. Why? Because speaking too quickly shows that you're afraid of silence. And if you're afraid of silence, you're signaling insecurity. Powerful men aren't in a hurry to be heard. They know their words carry weight, and they let the world lean in. Silence is a weapon. Most men don't know how to wield it because they're terrified of being misunderstood or overlooked. But the moment you realize that silence forces people to pay attention, you'll start using it to your advantage. Next time you're in a conversation, hold back. Don't rush to respond to every question or comment. Let them wonder what you're thinking. People respect the man who makes them wait. When you stay silent for just a few extra seconds, you create tension. Tension is powerful because it demands attention. When you do speak, speak with purpose. Don't ramble. Don't over-explain. Say only what needs to be said, and then stop. Most men talk themselves out of respect by saying too much. They start with a strong statement, but then they dilute it with extra words, apologetic tones, and unnecessary explanations. That's weakness. Imagine you're having a disagreement with a woman. She's throwing accusations at you, and instead of immediately defending yourself, you stay silent. Let her words sit in the air. Let her feel the weight of what she just said. And when you finally speak, do it slowly. Say, "I don't argue. I state facts." Then pause again. That pause will hit her harder than any raised voice ever could. She'll respect you because you didn't fall into the emotional trap. This works in every situation, whether you're negotiating a deal, setting a boundary, or confronting someone who disrespected you. Silence shows control, and control is respect. Number 3, master the controlled tone. A man's tone of voice can destroy his respect faster than anything else. It's the difference between being seen as a leader and being dismissed like a child. If you're speaking too loudly, you're broadcasting insecurity. If you're speaking too softly, you're signaling submission. But a man who masters his tone can control any room he steps into. The secret to a powerful tone is control, not volume. When you speak, your voice should be steady, like a river that can erode rock over time. Men who yell are trying to force respect. It doesn't work. The moment you raise your voice, you've lost control. Women don't respect men who scream. They respect men who command attention with calm dominance. Your tone should be slow, deliberate, and measured, like you're revealing secrets the world isn't ready to hear. Don't rush your words. Men who rush are trying to get it over with. Men who take their time are telling the world, "What I'm saying is worth the wait." If you're in a heated conversation, especially with a woman, control your breathing. Your breathing controls your tone. If you're short of breath, you'll sound panicked. If your breathing is steady, your tone will reflect it. And here's where most men fail. They don't understand the power of pauses within their tone. After you say something important, pause. Let the weight of your words linger. For example, if you're setting a boundary, say, "I'm not going to explain this twice." Then pause. Don't fill the silence. Let them feel it. That pause tells them you're serious without needing to raise your voice. In modern relationships, tone can be the difference between being respected and being walked over. If you say, "I'd prefer if you didn't do that," with a soft, timid tone, it sounds like a suggestion. But if you say, "I don't tolerate this," with a calm, controlled voice, it's a statement of fact. The difference is undeniable. One gets ignored, the other gets respect. Mastering your tone isn't just about sounding good. It's about becoming the man they listen to. Speak like a man who's confident in every word he says, not because he's loud, but because he knows his words are backed by action. Women aren't just listening to what you say. They're feeling the energy behind it. And when your tone exudes quiet strength, they'll feel compelled to listen. By controlling your tone, you're doing more than communicating. You're dominating the conversation without lifting a finger. That's real power. Number 4, Set boundaries like a Stoic. If you don't have boundaries, you don't have respect. It's that simple. The world treats boundary-less men like doormats, useful until they're no longer needed, then discarded. Boundaries are not about controlling others. They're about defining what you won't tolerate. And when you define that clearly, people have no choice but to respect you. But here's where most men go wrong. They set boundaries but don't enforce them. Saying no means nothing if you backpedal the moment someone pushes back. Respect comes from enforcement, not declarations. If a woman tests your boundaries by disrespecting you, don't explain why she's wrong. Don't plead for her to understand. Just state the boundary and stick to it. If she keeps crossing it, walk away. Walking away is one of the most powerful moves a man can make because it shows you're not afraid to lose someone. The man who's willing to walk away is always the one in control. If a friend constantly takes advantage of you, stop making excuses for them. Don't say, "I'm busy right now, but maybe later." Say, "No, I'm not available," and leave it at that. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Explanations invite negotiation, and negotiation weakens boundaries. Boundaries also apply to how you treat yourself. If you tolerate disrespect from others, it's often because you're disrespecting yourself first. Raise your standards for how you allow yourself to be treated, and the world will follow suit. The man who demands respect from others is the man who first respects himself. When you live by this principle, you won't have to chase respect. It will come to you naturally because people will sense that you won't accept anything less. The pain of being ignored is real. The humiliation of being dismissed, of feeling like you're screaming into the void, is something too many men carry silently. But that pain can either break you or transform you. Today you've learned how to take that pain and turn it into power, not by begging for respect, but by commanding it through presence, silence, tone, and boundaries. You don't need permission to be respected. You take it. Respect isn't given to those who wait. It's given to those who claim it without apology. If you're ready to make this your new reality, comment, "I command respect" below and commit to living it.